have these hardwired things that I've told myself for years that are really hard to overcome. So why the heck am I going to make it even harder to chase my dream? The real cost of limiting beliefs really isn't failure, it's delay. And delay eventually could be too late. Welcome to the Expansion Code Bridal Edition, the show for bridal hairstylists, makeup artists, beauty pros, and yes, even brides who want the behind the veil scoop. I'm your host, Heather Dick, bridal business coach, salon owner, and ringmaster of a 50-person squad that styles hundreds of weddings every year. Around here, we go beyond the hairspray. Think scaling your business, setting boundaries, surviving high-pressure moments, and creating client experiences that everyone raves about. So whether you're building your bridal empire or planning your big day, grab a coffee or champagne, and let's talk business, beauty, and a whole lot of bridal. Hello. Welcome back to the Expansion Code Bridal Edition. I feel inspired to talk today. I've got a lot of things going on in the background of my life, and hopefully by the time I've released this podcast, this will be public news. Not that I'm like Elon Musk going to the moon or anything, but it's exciting in my world. We just wanted to get legally prepared. Anyways, I'm partnering with the physio company who is a subtenant of mine, and we are creating a Pilates studio. I am so freaking excited about this, but that's not why I've come on here. That's for a social media post. Why I've come on here is this has been a dream of mine forever. I can't tell you how many times I've looked up yoga teacher training or spin instructor training or opening a studio. Actually, fun fact, the spa in Blush, I initially wanted to turn it into a spin studio. And I researched soundproofing and condensation and all that kind of stuff. It just wouldn't work out because spin is loud. But it's just been something that I've always wanted to do. So now I've got 12,000 square feet. That wasn't like happenstance or anything, but we have a lot of space and we're using one of the rooms as an event space right now. And I just had a bright idea. I messaged the physio company whose reformer I was using in there and I was like, we got to open a Pilates studio. And when I was talking to my friend about it, she asked me why I waited so long to do this if it's been such a dream of mine. And I kind of had to think about it for a second. Why did I wait literally 20 years, 15 years to do something like this? And then I realized it was because I had really strong limiting beliefs. And I was like, oh man, I got to talk about this on the podcast because all of us have been there. One of the current terms that we use is imposter syndrome. I actually just went to a gala on Friday for International Women's Day, and there was a Coach Carrie on there that was talking about imposter syndrome. She said it's not a syndrome because a syndrome is something basically you live with. Imposter belief is that you just believe something, that you can't do something, that you're not worth it. And that's exactly what I did. And I did that with this Pilates studio. I did that with Blush. And I wanted to talk to you about it today. Just because I think we can all relate to it. I mean, there's been multiple times in my life where I was like, I can't do that. There's no way. And then 15 years later, I'm doing it. So I'm going to start off with the lies we tell ourselves. I'll share my lies with you. I'm sure you can relate to these. I'll try not to cry because I'm very sensitive gal and it's really vulnerable sharing this stuff. So I think one of the most dangerous things about limiting beliefs is that they don't sound like fear. You know, they don't sound like a limiting belief. They sound like logic, and we can make ourselves believe these facts, air quotes, to the day we die. It is so harmful to continue to tell ourselves these stories. I'll get into it. You're like, just come on. Actually, I have no idea what you're thinking. So my biggest belief, my biggest limiting belief why I didn't open a fitness studio of some sort was that I was never fit enough, which is quite sad, actually. I've always been very active. I've always had a very health conscious mind, but I was always chasing a certain appearance. You know, I'm 40 now, which is unbelievable. I'm the fittest I've ever been. So now I feel like I can. But that's not true. I was crushing spin classes. There's no reason why I had to be a certain weight or a certain size in order to teach a spin class or a yoga class or whatever. And so once I realized that, when my friend asked me what took me so long, that was my number one response. I don't know if I can relate this to hair and makeup. I don't really necessarily know if I am recording this for that reason. I think I'm just recording this to share situations that I've put myself in so you can relate to me. A limiting belief, when I'm not doing something that I've actually dreamed of doing forever because of how I look is so incredibly sad. I'm grateful that I don't feel that way anymore. Because I mean, I'm in great shape, but I'm not like that much different than I was like 5 years ago. It's just how I believe. It's just what I believe in myself. And so, like anything, people don't need perfect instructors. They just need relatable ones and real ones. And so, whether you're an instructor, an educator of any kind, I think that's something that we should always remember. The second limiting belief that I had, which definitely relates to hair and makeup or the beauty industry, is you can't make a real living doing this. My friends, if I counted how many times people said, "Oh, but yeah, what do you do full time though?" Like, "Oh, I'm a bridal hair and makeup artist." "Oh, but yeah, like what's your full time job? Like Monday to Friday?" Girl, you know how many artists on my team are full time? So many. And they're crushing it, invoicing me a couple thousand for every weekend. It's just a lie. It's a lie we've told ourselves. These instructors are making anywhere from like 45 to 60 bucks an hour. That's obviously the fitness studio industry, bridal hair and makeup artists. I mean, you're making way more than that. But society has given us this idea that this is not a real career. It's the same, hairstylists get this all the time, you know? It's viewed as unstable, it's viewed as a trend. The person that I'm taking my instructor certification from is probably 50 years old. She's made a lifetime career out of this and crushing it. And so now that I have that confidence of doing something like blush full time, I know that I can make money doing this. One of the things about the beauty and the fitness industry, I mean, it can be certainly harmful, of course, when we're placing these like very wild expectations on ourselves, filters and body size and body image and all that stuff. But one thing I will say is that out of any time in the world, I think, I mean, I'm no economist, but people are prioritizing their health and their wellness. I mean, you have 18, 19, 20-year-olds that aren't drinking. They refuse to drink. They don't want to drink at all. They're going to Pilates class and drinking matcha lattes. I was in a 6 a.m. Pilates class the other day and there was high school students there. Generations shift and people prioritize totally different things. And so if I continue to tell myself that no one's doing this full time, I can't make money full time, I mean, it's a lie, a total lie. And I will thank social media for that because everyone around me is prioritizing this. So it makes it a little bit easier to take that jump into instructing. But this is just something I told myself. I can absolutely make a living off of this, especially if I have a studio and multiple contractors. I'm going to give you an example with blush. So I only went full time with blush in 2022, which is shocking. It's 2026 now. That's only 4 years. I've had this company since 2007. We were fully booked in 2014. I mean, there's only two of us. We grew, you know the story. I'm not going to go over it. If you don't, I'm sorry, but it grew from 2014 to 2026. Now there's 40 people on the team. We do 300 weddings a year. And we always operated out of my house until 2021. That's when I got the commercial space. And I remember being at a bridal show and a hairstylist who I was in collaboration with. She had her own salon and we worked side by side. She did the hair for the runway show and Blush did the makeup. And I said, "Oh, yeah, we've got that at the studio." She's like, "You mean home?" I was like, "What?" She's like, "You mean your house? Like you don't have a studio, it's in your house." And I remember thinking at that time, like, "Whoa, why are you being so bitchy?" But it's because, again, people had these limiting beliefs, like, just because it's in your house doesn't mean it's a real business. Little comments here and there, about having a home-based business sticks with you. And so when people would ask why I didn't have a brick and mortar, I started justifying staying in the house. Well, it's free rent. I'm not paying five to $10,000 a month on a lease, which is true for sure. No one gets their makeup done on a Tuesday is something I said all the time. No one gets their makeup done on a Tuesday. And I believed it. And guess what? It became true. Everything we tell ourselves, we embody, whether that's positive or negative. So if I continue to say out loud into the universe, no one's getting their makeup done, no one's hiring us on a Tuesday, that's what continues to happen. And I swear to God, COVID potentially shifted that because I couldn't really talk about who was getting hired anymore or when they were getting hired. Just everything was just so messy. And I jumped on an opportunity because I could get a really cheap lease to open the space. And wouldn't you know, we're drowning in bookings. Quick pause because I have to brag on my first business baby, Blush Artistry. If you know me, you know that Blush isn't just work, it is love. And we are talking hair, makeup, skin treatments, private personal training, the full beauty experience inside and out that makes you feel like the main character, whether it's your wedding day, a birthday, or just because you love taking care of yourself. My team, they are absolute pros. They've got the talent, the heart, and the hype to make you feel amazing. That's why Blush is the go-to beauty squad in Western Canada. Can I get an amen? So if you're ready for a little glow up moment, head to blush-artistry.ca or catch us on Instagram at blushartistrymua. All right, let's get back to the show. Today booked not I didn't just today, but I just realized that on a Monday in August, a Monday, we have 3 weddings booked that day. What world am I living in where it's the total opposite of what I expected would happen? It's the total opposite of what I ever expected the trajectory of my life to be. And if I sat in those limiting beliefs forever till today, I would never be where I am. I would never take any risks. I would be working at my parents' business probably, which is a great job, honestly. I loved working there, but I was doing both for a really long time. Both full-time jobs, 2 of them, waking up at 4:30 in the morning every day just so I could have time to work out, work on my other company. Like it's a nightmare. We opened our studio in 2021 of September. I still didn't leave my full-time job until March 2022. A year. Oh, 4 years ago, actually. That's insane to me. All because I was so scared of failing. I was scared of having to make my own money because my full-time job just supplied me with obviously a comfortable wage. It was terrifying. And I stayed there for a really long time, way longer than I should have because Blush was begging to grow. It was begging to grow. And I just wouldn't let it. I was too scared. I was too scared to open a fitness studio. I was too scared to get my yoga instructor certificate. I was too scared. And that's a shame. I'm happy I'm here and where I am today. I mean, I'm like beyond happy. I sound quite mellow today, but I'm so excited for this next segment of my life because I finally feel free enough to do whatever the fuck I want. What a great feeling. And it has nothing to do with money because I mean, I had way more money when I was working for my parents' business. Way more money, way more comfortable too. I never stressed about money and I didn't really stress. My only stressor was trying to do too many things at once. I was doing everything kind of 60%. But it also has me thinking, where do these limiting beliefs come from? And it's not just ourselves. I said it earlier in the episode. Society is the biggest one. You know, you can't get a real job unless you go to university or college. You're not really working a real job unless you're doing Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. All of these things are things that society and the world has told us. And I think that, it's 2026, we're breaking those barriers for sure. But I've done episodes on this too. We still fall into the trap. You know, I still get guilty for not leaving my house on a Tuesday, but we're getting there. I also think that industry narratives, beauty and fitness careers are often seen so unstable and so short term. But I know so many yoga instructors. I know so many fitness instructors that are pushing 40, 50 years old, and they're still doing what they love. And that to me sounds so much more attractive than working at a thankless job, mundane, day in and out, sitting in an office, just waiting until the bell rings to go home and you can clock out. Beauty is a little bit tougher because you might feel like you're starting to age out of the industry, of course. That doesn't mean that you will. I've got artists on the team that are 43, 44, and they're crushing it. I mean, they're young 44 for sure, but it doesn't matter. You are the one that sets the limits, not society, not the industry, not your friends, not your peers. You're the one that sets that belief. I also think that the last place when I brainstormed, social media sets these grounds for us to do self-comparison on a freaking hourly basis. If you're checking your social media out every hour, we have to nip that. It just is so harmful for our mental health, our self-esteem. One of my goals with this Pilates studio, and I'm really grateful that the person I partnered with also has these on social media at the moment, it's all these like tiny, skinny little dancer girls doing Pilates. And sure, that's like attractive to the eye because that's what everyone says is beautiful. But the average person is not that size. That's why they're average. The average, everyone is, I think the average size in Canada is like a size 10 or 12. I want to appeal to those people. I want to create a world where it's beauty industry, fitness, whatever, where people are represented, not just the ideal. And also it's super unrealistic. Like, yeah, sure, Pilates is going to build your core and do all of these things, yoga, whatever, but it's not going to get you to look that way. Self comparison, I mean, comparison is the thief of joy. I, I believe that through and through. And it's one of the reasons why I mute my competitors or I don't follow them or I don't listen or I don't do anything like that. Just because I want to water my own grass. And if I'm consistently focusing on someone else, also, I just talked about how hard it is to water my own grass. Like I also have these beliefs, I have these hardwired things that I've told myself for years that are really hard to overcome. So why the heck am I going to make it even harder to chase my dream? The real cost of limiting beliefs really isn't failure, it's delay. And delay eventually could be too late. I'm talking like 80 years old. Like the average entrepreneur doesn't like actually start until like 45 or 50 or something like that. So like I'm not talking like age. I'm talking about just having the regret of not doing it. And I want you to do it. I want you to be like, "Man, you inspired me to go and do this and I could be on the sidelines. I'll come to your workshops or your whatever. I don't know. Whatever it is, I'll support you because people support me. And I think that that's how the world goes round. Most people aren't held back by lack of opportunity or lack of money. They're held back by the stories that they keep repeating, by the stories I kept repeating to myself. I have a little exercise if we can. Here's how to break a limiting belief. If you're interested in it, keep listening. If not, pass on. I don't know. So identify the story. What is it that I am assuming is true? And then the example is no one gets makeup done on Tuesdays, right? So I want to open a brick and mortar store. What am I telling myself? No one gets makeup done on Tuesdays. Then I look for evidence. Is it actually true? Does no one actually get their makeup done on a Tuesday? No, that's not true. People get their makeup done all the day long, every single day. Or is it just something I've repeated? Step 3, test it. So instead of believing it, experiment. Open the studio. Start working out of your house. See if people start booking appointments on Tuesday. And guess what they did? We started to get photographers booking us for maternity shoots. We got boudoir. We got everything under the sun. So my experiment was accidental. I mean, I had a team, so then I could kind of gauge like, oh man, this is actually successful. This is working. Experimenting might look a little bit different to everyone depending on what your limiting belief is, but reach out and we can chat about it. Replace the belief. So the old belief is no one books on a Tuesdays. The new belief is I haven't built enough demand yet. I love that. So it's a huge difference. I haven't built enough demand yet. A friend of mine who I take her classes right now in Pilates, we were discussing how many studios were opening. Now, that doesn't scare me because I've done a lot of work, a lot of mindset work. I don't have lack mentality for the most part. Obviously, it sneaks in a little bit here and there. Oh my God, there's all these studios opening up. Oh my God, there's all these hair and makeup teams opening up. Great. Let them show us how good we are. Let the people choose. Do your job. Create an incredible experience with your clients, no matter what industry you're in. They'll choose. If you focus on high quality, high service, great ambiance, even a crappy location, that doesn't matter. People will drive if you're a destination space, they don't care. You will succeed. That comparison of other companies, there's just no place for it in a successful world. But if I had listened to my limiting beliefs, I would never be here. I would never have this podcast studio in my house. I would never have Blush. It's a 12,000 square foot studio. I'm going to cry. I would never have what I have. But now I've signed up to take my certification for Pilates. We're changing my massive space into something that I've always dreamed of. And I'm giving opportunities to other business owners to succeed and support their families. It's a dream. Your dreams will never go away. They just wait for you to stop believing the lies. I'll end it right there. I love you all. I hope you enjoyed this episode and keep chasing those dreams. Thank you so much for tuning into the Expansion Code Bridal Edition, your VIP access to a booked out, balanced, and thriving bridal business. If you loved today's episode, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow beauty pro. For more tips and behind the scenes magic, hang out with me on Instagram at IamHeatherDick or visit theexpansioncode.ca. Until next time, keep slaying those styles, leading with confidence, and remember, every detail counts, and so do you. Another little disclaimer, while I love sharing advice and business wisdom, I am not your lawyer, I'm not your accountant, and I'm not your fairy godmother. If you do want to be best friends, though, you can hit me up. Everything on this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only, so no lawsuits, okay?